From the studios in beautiful Oceanport, New Jersey, welcome to the biggest and greatest podcast ever. I'm your host, Ray K. Hey everybody, we have an exciting show today. You know, as everyone knows, we're picked up now by the Big Fat American Network. We're now on iHeartRadio and radio.com. This is a sincere pleasure for me because I grew up reading about this man, and his story is almost, something out of like mythology. He is a consultant for the Yankees, worked for the Yankees since 73, which might be the longest run other than the Steinbrenner run maybe. And we are pleasure to have Ray Negron. Ray, welcome to the podcast.
Excited to be on. I mean, you guys have such a following that, come on, man, I should be paying you to be on this show.
Well, it's about $400,000. Do you have that, or? Well, I'm kidding.
I'll send you a check. It's in the mail.
I took a shot. Right. Yankee fans know the story, but there's a lot of fans that aren't Yankee fans. It's almost something it's really almost unbelievable that it was a rags to riches story. I don't know if you were sort of like a street hoodlum or whatever, but you were spray painting Yankee Stadium, and the next day or that night you were the bat boy for the New York Yankees. I know you spoke about this story a million times. Can you give us like the 2-minute version of it?
1973. I'm outside Yankee Stadium with a couple of other guys. One guy dares me to do graffiti on one of the walls. I didn't think it was a big deal at that moment, but at the same time, I knew that it was wrong because you were talking about Yankee Stadium, the cathedral of all of sports, and the way they harassed me, I did it. I put marked up like a crazy NY, and as I was doing it, a car drives onto the sidewalk. 2 guys jump out. Everybody scatters. I trip. I'm caught. I'm put into a holding cell, getting ready to be transported over to the 44th precinct, which was up literally a mile away. And before the car to pick me up could get there, the guy that caught me comes back, tells the police, "Give me the kid. He's got damage. He's going to work off from me." And they opened up the cell. They let me out. They took me to this room. All of a sudden, they knock on the door. They open it up. I walk in, and it was like walking into Oz. It was the Yankee locker room with all the bright white and pinstripe uniforms all around. It was like a dream. And next thing you know, the guy says they give me a uniform, and I'm the bat boy for the Yankees that night. And the guy that caught me was George Steinbrenner.
Now, you must have been like, is this a dream or, how old were you when this happened, Ray, this incident?
I was just 17 when that happened.
Okay. So you succumbed to the peer pressure. I mean, it almost seems like a petty type thing. I remember when I used to go to the stadium. I was, by the way, at the 1970 doubleheader when Mercer hit the home runs. That was my first game when I was 9, That was a pretty cool first experience. And there was always graffiti on there, I remember,
Right.
It was just part of the thing, it seemed, So you're doing this petty thing, you think, but it's serious. Steinbrenner catches you, feels sorry for you, I imagine, right? Because you're being interrogated by these other guys or whatever, and he comes sort of like from the heart and rescues you out of the situation. Is that the feeling you had from him? I heard you on some other podcasts talk about that.
I'd ask him throughout the years. He never would say, and at one point he did admit to me that the security guy that was with him had said that's where they belong, and that he took that as a direct challenge because that wasn't his style per se. And that's, so that security guard actually did me a big favor by saying that to him.
So this is almost like a God thing in a way. I mean, it seems like all these pieces came together that had to come together, as bad as it seemed at the time, to maybe turn your life out the way it has up to this minute. I mean, is that how you see the thing? Almost like a God type situation?
Very, very, very mystical. And the way he used to look at me sometimes, it was like something very strange, weird, and beautiful at the same time. Because, and I'll tell you why. One time, I had just come back with him from visiting somebody at a hospital. We walk into the lobby, and there were some boxes dead in the middle of the lobby floor at the stadium. And so he says, somebody move these boxes. Somebody move these boxes. So I naturally ran to the boxes to move them. And he goes, stop it. I don't want you to do that. You don't do that. I mean, and it was, I mean, little things like that. You understand what I'm saying?
I follow it. I follow it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's almost you can't put it into words what that exchange meant, but I kind of know though. The boss was tough from everyone that I ever spoke to about him, and that was probably one of the examples of it. Or I know you have a different relationship to him. Did you see that tough side?
He was the meanest, toughest, hardest, most beautiful, wonderful man that I have ever known in my life. So, I mean, that sounds very weird, very strange, but that's how he was. Because 1 minute he could hammer you, and then 1 minute later, hey pal, let's go get some lunch.
Okay. So it was like heaven and hell type of thing, or like a combination thing, I guess.
If you said it, I didn't.
All right. So now, what month is this, by the way? Is it early in the season, or is it like later on?
This was June of 1973. We were playing the Cleveland Indians that night, and after the game, he was real happy because we beat his Cleveland people. You remember, he came from Cleveland. And after the game, he said to me, did you like your job? I said, I loved it. I thought it would be like one shot and I'm done.
Right.
And he said, do you want to keep the job? I said, I would love to keep the job. He said, then this is what you're going to do for me. You're going to tell those guys that were with you, I don't need no more graffiti on my walls. This was here for years. It's not going to happen anymore. Not under my watch. And that was the deal that we struck. And that night, that weekend, I actually went to see the guys, and I literally begged them not to do it anymore. And they looked out for me, and that was the rest is history.
What was your well? How much did you make a week or a game? Can you say? Just curious what a bat boy makes.
At that, well, let me put it to you like this: that in '73. Because of the way I came onto the scene, he paid me out of pocket. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So It was like I was his guy. I was his bat boy. And so in turn, he would give me a $20 bill or he would give me a $50 bill. Now, remember the year, 1973. Do the math. That was a lot of money.
Oh, for back then, right? And being 17? Yeah.
That was a lot of money. And so in essence, the following season, when I came on officially, I went through the whole official process of becoming a bat boy. I made $11 a game.
Oh, okay.
So okay. It's a little change, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Times 80, figure, it's $890 a year,
No, because every homestand in 73, every homestand, it was like, here's a $50 bill, you know what I'm saying? So
right. It's like a 4-time deduction in pay or whatever.
Right. If you run short, come back and I'll take care of you. That's we did it.
That's nice. That's nice to have. Mm-hmm. What was what does a bad, what was, you wake up in the morning, Ray wakes up, what's a bat boy do? Like what's a day in the life of the bat boy? Like what happens?
A day in the life of bat boy is that you get to the stadium. You get the laundry. You put the laundry on into each of the lockers, because it's got a bright peachy. He would have a bright number 1 or a number 12 or whatever the number was, and you put it right into the locker. That would be step 1, and then you would take care of the players. In those days, we didn't have chefs and all that kind of stuff like they have today. Mm-hmm. So it was like I personally would take orders from the players as far as what they wanted to eat and all that. Like Thurman Munson would come in, go to his locker, and then he would scream out, "Ray, 2 cheesies!"
2 cheesies, 2 cheeseburgers. Is that it?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I would haul ass right. I would run right through the outfield, over center field, through the gate back there, across the street, right to the McDonald's that's still there to this date. And the minute that I walked in, the guy knew that I was on a Munson scenario.
That's that
Okay,
McDonald's, right? I remember. Yeah,
exactly,
I know it. Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
exactly.
That's funny. So the diets of the players weren't the best then. If Thurman's getting cheeseburgers, you know.
He was getting cheeseburger. Bloomberg is getting bagels. I would run upstairs to get catfish hot dogs from the little cart that would be right outside the gate.
Huh. Wow, wow. That's the image you have in your mind is more of this luxury type thing, but I mean you're getting stadium hot dogs for the players. I mean that's I never knew that. I never knew it was that kind of thing.
That in those days,
In those days,
Lou Piniella would be more extravagant. I would run to the Yankee Tavern and get him a pastrami.
All right, now it's big time. Now he's pastrami. He's upgrading. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so you're like a runner then. A bat boy isn't just a bat boy that you see the guy sitting down the third baseline getting the foul balls. I mean, there's a lot that goes into being a bat boy, obviously, because you just told me a couple things, and I mean that's pretty. You're running for the players' food. You're putting the laundry out. What else are you doing? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more you have to hear in that.
You're cleaning the helmets. You're shining the shoes. And then batting practice would start, and that would be my favorite part because I would get in uniform, and then go out in the field and act like if I was one of the Yankees.
You have a catch with the players?
I have catch with the players, shag fly balls during batting practice, and if I got there early enough, and Dick Hauser was cool that day, I would get a couple of swings in the cage.
Okay. Some days he wasn't as cool.
Some days it was busy.
Okay. Who had I mean, you're having catch with these guys. How was Thurman's arm? I mean, did they throw hard to you, or was it? I mean, that must have been so cool being a 17-year-old kid having a catch with the Yankees. I mean, I just can't wrap my head about how cool that must have been. Did you get that feeling to it? Like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
I wasn't a bad player, but I was a pretty good player, as a matter of fact. Remember that I was a second-round draft pick.
Right.
By the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I could play.
Okay.
But I was still nervous because, come on, Thurman Munson.
I mean, would he get mad at you if you missed the ball or something? Or?
Nah, he would laugh.
Okay. Okay, so now you're batting practice. You're doing that, which is now the game starts. Are you the guy that's down the third baseline, with the foul balls? And back then they didn't give them to the fans, right? You had to throw them back into play?
We would have a bag, and we just put it in the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We would take turns is the way we did it. Like one day I would be the bat boy in the dugout, and then the next day I would be down the right field line.
Okay.
Or stuff like that. That's essentially how we did it. I used to like to. I could play baseball. The other two bat boys were terrible.
Okay.
So I essentially would stay down the right field line most of the time, because if there was a foul ball down the line, then I would get to field it and be on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would think that would be the preferred bat boy position. That one.
For me at that time. See, the other guys, they like a guy hits a home run, so you're standing by home plate, and you're shaking his hand.
So cool. They get that advantage. Okay.
That was cool too.
Yeah. Were you at the Chambliss home run? No one was at home plate, but I guess you must have been there with some pretty nice home runs then. I know Bloomberg hit some monsters in the upper deck. Mercer was the guy back then, right? Mercer.
Bobby was the man. He was the man.
He was the matinee guy, right? He was the good looking guy. That was
when the Yankees were bad. He was good. You know what I'm saying? That was the only way to put it. Him, Roy White. And Thurman. But Bobby was the guy. Bobby was our unofficial captain, per se. And Thurman would learn from Bobby how to, in essence, be that leader, that guy.
Okay. Then Thurman, he grew into it when he had those 3 monster years from '76. You could just
And
feel him coming into that superstar status.
from 75.
'75. Okay, that was okay when he had the 100 RBIs. That the first year we had
Right,
him. Okay.
right,
Okay. Okay.
right,
Okay.
exactly.
Now the Yankees back then, Ray. People think, oh, the Horace Clarke years, but they were actually not bad, right? I mean, they were in the playoff hunt a couple of those years
Fun,
up to '76. I mean, they were in it a few times, right?
fun. It was always fun. I feel bad for Horace Clarke because he was one of the greatest gentlemen that I would ever know. He was he was a gentleman. He was a wonderful human being, and you know what? He would not had he not been a good baseball player, he would not have been the Yankees' second baseman for 10 years.
Well, I always say that when you look at his stats, they were actually pretty. He was up 600 times a year. I mean,
Yes.
I always thought he was a solid player when I was a kid watching. I used to like him when he was
Right.
up there.
Yes.
And but he gets tagged with that Horace Clarke error, I guess, because they tag his
Right.
name into it. And
Right.
it's unfortunate. You don't see him around much either in old timers games or not.
No, but well, that's because the people today don't know who he really was.
Right. Are you in touch with him and some of these guys?
Sometimes I run into him and it's fun and we laugh. We think about those days and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Some of the players back then. Now, I was such a fan, Ray, that I used to actually think Gene Michael was like real good in 1970. I mean, he had 4 homers. I thought that was not bad. So that's how much of a crazy Yankee fan I was.
But let's not forget this guy was a very fine defensive baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really a smart baseball player and you know what? He was like always having an extra coach on the team because
Okay.
no one controlled Thurman Munson like Gene Michael did. They were really, really close.
Mm-hmm.
And if Thurman was having a bad day and he wanted to smack a reporter, it was always Gene Michael who calmed him down. You know what I'm saying?
So Munson respected him. I know they were both from the same
Very,
school, right?
very much great respect for Gene Michael. I mean, everybody respected Gene Michael. He was cool and he was a great athlete. And remember that this guy almost played for the Knicks.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that actually. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very,
very good basketball player. We used to have a basketball team in the winter, and he was one of our players, and it was so much fun. And Gene Michael from 20, yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I remember that hop, skip, and a jump. I think Rizzuto coined that phrase when he had that little sidearm throw. I mean, he was a pretty unique fielder, And
he was, the most graceful shortstop I ever saw.
Okay. Well, you said that, Ray. I was going to ask you later, but I might as well segue into this now. Can you even say it, like from 70 on, like first base around the horn, what your all-time Yankee team is that you saw? You saw them all.
You have to. For me, I got to go with Chris Chambliss
over Mattingly.
Oh, no. You know why? I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because Billy Martin says you don't go to Hall of Fame if you don't win. And remember, Chambliss won.
Yeah.
He won.
Yeah.
Say what you want. He won. Did Mattingly have better seasons? Absolutely. Does he have Hall of Fame numbers? Yeah. But did he ever win? No.
That's like the Bill Russell basketball. I mean, he won the championships,
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. He seems like a great guy too, Chris. He just seems like a nice, quiet,
wonderful guy. Wonderful guy. But I mean, anybody that says anything negative about Chris Chambliss, you know what? He's a liar.
Right. Yeah. Right. Second base. Who's your second baseman?
Second baseman. I got to go with Willie Randolph.
Okay. Yeah. Shortstop. I hope you're not going to say Gene Michael.
And again, I got to go with Bucky Dent because he won. But excuse me. And let me take that back. I got to go with Derek Jeter naturally.
Okay. But you mentioned Bucky, so Bucky must have been pretty darn good for you to put him, to kind of mention.
The thing about Bucky, think about it. he made every play. I didn't say he made the spectacular play.
He did, yeah.
He didn't,
Yep.
but he didn't have to make the spectacular play because Greg Nettles filled the hole.
He filled that left side. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, balls didn't get through there. Okay, so Bucky could cheat up the middle more. Okay.
Right.
And made every single play. He was more sure-handed than Jeter. Sure-handed.
Okay.
If my life was on the line, and a guy had a gun to my head, and I needed for someone to field one ground ball between Bucky Dent and Derek Jeter, it's Bucky Dent.
Okay. Wow. What a compliment that is. Yeah. Okay. Come to think of it, he never seemed to miss anything. You know, he was just solid, consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah. Had that nice little throw to first, you know, always on the button.
Always on the button. And he never, and you know what? And if it was on the ground, he didn't have to worry about it because Chris Chambliss was known as Snatcher.
Yeah, right.
Anything in the ground, you didn't even worry about it.
Just throw it near him. If it's in the dirt, don't worry.
Throw it near him because he's going to snatch it.
All right, third base.
For me, the greatest defensive player of all time in that position, Greg Nettles. Okay, better than Brooks Robinson. I'm sorry, but Greg Nettles was like no other.
Well, you've seen him every day, so you know you got you got some expertise on the subject.
And I was a big Brooks Robinson fan. That World Series when he had the what do you call it? But I remember something for the Yankees. I did video work for the Yankees, and I analyzed all the Brooks Robinson plays, and I analyzed all the Greg Nettles plays, and Greg Nettles hands down. No question about it.
Okay. And his arm didn't really seem super strong, but he had that little sidearm flip, and it got there every time.
Did he always beat?
He beat it by like three centimeters every time.
Yeah.
It was, you know.
Every time.
Yeah.
Hey, in the dugout, we would go, whoa.
Oh, you do that noise as it was happening?
Yeah. Because the whole thing
funny.
is, Greg knew he knew what he was doing, and he didn't waste a throw. But you know what? When he had to put some giddy up on it, there it was. Boom.
Hey, turn that double play to, and I was at 70. Was at 77 when they beat the Royals, and that double play with Patek at the end. That was you know, seemed routine, but I mean he got rid of it fast. I don't have to ask you, but I mean Posada did play for the Yankees. Who's your catcher?
Come on, man.
All right, I'll say for you.
The guy, you know what? They should both be in the Hall of Fame. Posada.
That's what I was going to get into. I was going to get into that. Okay.
Yeah, he should be in the Hall of Fame because he won, and he had some terrific seasons offensively. You know, and he was a fine catcher. And there are catchers in the Hall of Fame right now that weren't as good as Jorge Posada. So he should be in the Hall of Fame. But Thurman Munson, please, man, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He was a true impact guy of the 70s. He was our guy without wanting to be a captain. He was our leader, and he was in the right place at the right time. And, you know, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
And there's a push now to get him in. I mean, I'm on one of the pushes actually on the Thurman Munson fan club, and you know, I don't know if there's new sports writers this year, but I know he's on the ballot to try to get in there, and I hope he does because he not only was a great guy and a family guy, but you know, I mean, I had him better than Fisk. I know I was a Yankee fan. I know they were close, and I know Fisk is in. You know,
right?
And I don't think the Yankees. I've argued this, Ray, with friends of mine. That I don't think the Yankees would have traded Munson for Bench. I know, you know, Bench seems to be the automatic best catcher ever, but I don't think the Yankees would trade Munson for for Bench. Would they have? You think, if that trade ever came up, like in 1974?
Wow, it's a great question.
That's a close one, though. It's a close one, but
it absolutely is.
But you know, Steinbrenner, what do you think? Do you think Sparky Anderson even up Munson for Bench?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
You know what? And the only reason I can't answer that question is because remember, Steinbrenner loved the gimmick. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He loved the the aura of the star and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So he
I,
might have leaned toward Bench for that reason, for that stardom thing.
yeah,
Okay.
Bench had already been in the World Series, and he already had the reputation. And you said 1970. Would he do it in 1974? Would I do it in 1976? No. But you said 1974.
Okay, right. Well, I tried to get more into, where Bench was more into the prime of his I know he was at the end.
I mean, I mean, at that point, you got to think about it. 76? No, not for me.
Just asking that question shows you how great to me Munson is. If you have to even think about that, I mean, you're talking Johnny Bench, and we're kind of thinking about if they do the trade.
You're talking Johnny Bench. You're talking the greatest of all time.
Did you think that the Yanks had a shot in that 76 series? I mean, it just seemed like they were just one player short of juice. They just didn't quite have it.
Let me put it to you like this. When Chambliss hit the home run, we partied like it was 1999, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, we partied so hard. George Steinbrenner was the happiest that I had ever seen him in any of the celebrations that we had up until the day he died, in any of them. And when we left that clubhouse, we went to another party, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to go to the airport to leave for Cincinnati.
Okay. I follow you.
It was almost as if, damn if we do, and damn if we don't. We won our World Series already.
Right. Well, that was sort of a little of the feeling, and
that's how I felt. I felt like, okay, if we win, we win, and if we don't, we don't. I mean, Billy could have been madder, but he wasn't crazy after we lost. He wasn't nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was such a great accomplishment, and to beat Kansas City the way we did, and for Chambliss to do what he did, it was just incredible. It was incredible.
Did you know that was gone, that shot? Did you know it was gone? I know it was close. I thought he might have caught it when he jumped. No?
Yeah, I mean,
it didn't look like it was? Well, I saw on TV,
You hope.
When he came down from that jump, I'm thinking, does he got it?
Exactly,
But sometimes when you're there, you can kind of tell if it's going,
the bleachers, the ball made it out by inches.
Okay. That's funny. Now 77 comes and you kind of figure they're going to, they're going to win it. But I just want to stay on 76 because this is going to bring something up on the Hall of Fame. I want to ask you because this is big for the integrity part, and you know where I'm going with it with the big Red Machine Reds. Pete Rose, there's a little push for him too, but it's you kind of know he's not going to really get him. What do you think of him? I mean, all-time hit leader. I think it's 50-50 with the public on that. What's your take on Pete Rose?
The game belongs to the fans. Baseball belongs to the fans. Baseball belongs to the kids. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hall of Fame is supposed to be a domain for the fans to celebrate and appreciate the guys that played the great game of baseball. Yes, he belongs in the Hall of Fame because of what he did on that field. I don't care what he did at OTB, at Belmont, or wherever else,
mm-hmm.
or Atlantic City or Vegas. That's his business, okay? Was it wrong? Absolutely, it was wrong. However, time has passed. The one thing that the great and wonderful George Steinbrenner taught me was second chances sometimes mean third, fourth, fifth, 11, 12, and 13, okay? And so how long does this man have to be punished with this,
Mm-hmm. Okay, right.
You know what? If you believe in God and you believe in the Bible, then there's a thing called forgiveness.
Right.
And so with all of these things being said, I mean, we do God Bless America in the seventh inning, right? We are praising God. So, I mean, come on, man.
Okay.
Give the game to the fans. Let the fans enjoy who Pete Rose was. And if you want to put an asterisk, he was suspended for gambling for this and that, then that's their business. Go ahead, do it.
Did you know Pete, Ray?
I have met him. We're not friends, but I have met him on many occasions, and I appreciate his the magnitude of his love for the game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How he talks about it. His intensity in it. And more than most.
He's fun to watch when he does talk about the game. You see him on TV once in a while on ESPN or whatever. His passion just shines through. You know.
The only people in my years in the game that talk that way about baseball is the Alomar family. Robbie, Sandy, and Sandy Jr. They're in sleep, wake up, go to the bathroom, talk in the game.
All baseball.
Don't stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm gonna shoot some names at you from that era. Just even some ball players that were on the opponent's side. By the way, did I ask you, Ray? Did you go on the road at all, or did you stay home?
A lot.
Oh, you would go. You would be the bat boy on the road. Okay.
Steinbrenner had me go on a lot of trips because sometimes he thought I was like a good luck charm.
Oh, okay. So superstitions in baseball, right? Isn't that part of the baseball thing? You can't touch the line.
He could be very superstitious.
Reggie Jackson, kind of a controversial guy. I've heard you interviewed. I know you were kind of responsible, or you were responsible for that. What do they call it? The encore after he hit that third homer when he came out of the dugout.
Right.
There's clips of you whispering in his ear. You kind of were bugging him all game to do that. Actually, it was a very interesting encore. The way he did it, he kind of bowed a few times. You noticed that? It was I guess because it was so new back then. I guess players didn't really know how to do it. It was kind of funny if you look at it. But Reggie, I was talking to people that know Reggie, and he's I know, you like him, I know. But do you see the other side? Because I know some people that don't like him at all.
I've seen not the other side. I've seen every side.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, tell me the whole Reggie thing. Tell me about Reggie. Your take on him.
I'm going to put it very simple. Reggie, Thurman, the boss, and Billy. You know why I love them so much?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were so much alike.
Oh, here you go. Okay.
They were so much alike. They could be so temperamental. They could literally be mean. They could be mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but when they were nice, oh my God, they were so nice.
Did Billy? You felt that Billy and Reggie definitely had something going on there that was dissension, or I don't know what the word is. I can't think of it. But you know what I mean?
They were too much alike. And that wasn't gonna jive. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you. Okay.
It was Billy's team. Reggie came in. Reggie wanted New York to be his. Hey, what part of the reason why he didn't want to take the curtain call after the first home run was, Ray, did you see how the fans treated me? They weren't on my side per se. Why should I do that? And then after the second one, he said the same thing. And that's when I said, after the third one, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, you will take a curtain call then, won't you? And he said, you're crazy, but I'll do it.
Right. And it was a great move because as a fan watching it, that was just like the right move. You just felt so great seeing that. And then he's like, smiling to the camera, waving to his mother in the dugout. I mean, it was the whole thing was just perfect, Well,
the two things that I'm always proud about was that Reggie always acknowledges the fact that he took the curtain call because I made him do it.
Okay.
And I'm proud of that. And the other thing, because I felt it was right for the fans, it was right for breaking the whole, what that year had been. It just broke the year. And the other thing was the fact that he always talks about the fact that I had put him and Thurman together by making them go to dinner one night and just talking everything out.
Okay, and he acknowledges that. That's
yes,
cool, very cool.
And I'm always very proud of that. And he actually made a big thing about it on his show. He has a show on Sirius Radio every Saturday at 11 a.m. It's a commercial for him called "Swing Away" with Reggie Jackson.
Okay.
And on that show, he talked about what I meant from the standpoint of him and Thurman Munson. At one point, he even says, Ray was our bat boy, but he was also our brother. To Thurman and I, Ray was our bat boy, but he was also our brother.
Wow, that's just a cool thing to hear that, that he acknowledges it, and for you too, to see the feelings match up, how you kind of wish they were, The legends. I mean, Joe DiMaggio. I mean, you hear stuff with Joe too later on with the autographs and so forth. You might have seen a different Joe. I mean, what was he like?
I was disappointed. Okay, I was just, hey, Joe was Joe. You know, he was Joe DiMaggio. He deserved his privacy. He deserved the whole aspect of who he was. But I remember one time, Billy, it was Old Timers Day. It was Old Timers Day, so it had to have been 77. Because the following day, Billy Martin was about to go into the sauna that we had in the clubhouse. And he said to Pete Sheehy, Pete, I didn't like the behavior. I didn't like the behavior of Joe yesterday. I thought he could have been nicer.
Billy said that.
Billy said that.
Uh-huh.
And that was hey, he's still DiMaggio, you know what I'm saying? So I was just learning the aspect of what goes on, what went on, that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, again, he was Joe DiMaggio. He was one of the true all-time greats, and he deserved whatever. If that's how he wanted it, then he deserved it. He earned it.
Right.
I mean, you know, I wouldn't like it that way, but he earned that. He earned that respect.
Okay. Now, how about Mickey? I mean, you hear, Mickey had his issues. I had Marty Appel on a couple of weeks ago, and he says during that's what players do. They went out to drink. So no one had any idea that there were any real issues. That was just sort of what they did after the game because there wasn't really too much else to do. Did you sense any of that with Mickey and throughout the 70s with the Old Timers games, or what was your relationship with Mickey Mantle?
As a kid growing up, that was my hero. It was Mickey Mantle. Number 7 would come out of the dugout, and I was like a little girl. I would almost faint. Okay,
right.
And Mickey Mantle was a nice guy. He really was. He did have an issue, like Doc, like Daryl. He had an issue, like Billy.
Okay.
He had,
right.
Alcohol is a drug.
Right.
Alcohol is a drug. And so he had a problem. And, that's all I can say. The only time I ever saw him a little nasty, per se, or whatever, was when he had his drug of choice, which was alcohol.
Right. Okay. So he wasn't a happy drunk, as they say. He was more of a nastier type kind of thing.
Could from moment to moment, it depends. But I will say that for me, Mickey Mantle was a nice man.
Okay, great. Well, that's great to hear. I'm keeping it real. That's why I appreciate all your opinions. Were you there with Clara Ruth and Eleanor Gehrig when they were in there? Because, that fascinates me.
I babysat Eleanor Gehrig one day. And by babysitting, meaning she was shooting a documentary. I guess this must have been about 73, sometime that summer of 73, I think it was. And she was doing a little documentary thing. And I'll never forget, Mr. Steinbrenner asked me to sit with her. If she needed to go to the bathroom, escort her. If she needs something to drink, make sure to get it, make sure she's okay, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I had little time to talk to her. I was a big fan of the movie The Pride of the Yankees.
Right.
And my favorite all-time actor was the wonderful Gary Cooper. And so I had a lot of questions. I was inquisitive about that. Lou Gehrig, to me, was like the ultimate of Yankees, him and Babe Ruth.
Right.
And so naturally, I had questions. She knew Lou Gehrig. She was married to Lou Gehrig. She kissed Lou Gehrig. She made love to Lou Gehrig. You know what I'm saying?
If you're going to talk to someone about Lou Gehrig, you're sitting next to the right person.
There's no one else in the world that would have known him like she did. And it was just it was a beautiful moment because whatever I needed to ask. And she actually told me about a room that was at the old Yankee Stadium. It was a storage room where Lou Gehrig used to, after he got the ALS, he needed every once in a while a place to go to sit down and to pray and pray to God that maybe there's a cure or something's going to be found, or just to feeling bad. And he would go to this room, and she told me where the room was. And the reason that she knew where the room was because he would go into this room, and from that room he would walk out, and she would be waiting for him by this gate, which was on the opposite side of the stadium where the players came out, so that no one could be asking him, Lou, how you feeling today? Lou, are you better today? You know, these were the things that would drive him crazy, because he knew, even though he was hoping for that he was going to get better, that one day he would wake up and feel better, that he knew that he wasn't.
Wow. So you went back and saw the space. It was still around in 73?
And so I knew where the space was. I had this artist by the name of James Ferrantino. You know the name?
No, but I remember hearing this story years ago. I read it somewhere, and I'd like you to refresh our memories a little more. Yes.
James Ferrantino is a famous sports artist, probably the #1 sports artist in the world. He was a kid at the time who could draw paintings of these great athletes and movie stars and all that, and it would just come out. And so I took him to the room, and I showed him where Lou Gehrig would sit, and I said to him, would you give me a painting of Lou Gehrig, what he would look like as he's sitting here? And he painted Lou Gehrig with one tear coming down his eye. And so when he did that, I asked him, after Thurman Munson died, I asked him if he would do Thurman. And so he did Thurman.
Did he capture Thurman? Did he capture Thurman? I'm going to have to Google this after we get off.
He capped as close as you can get.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say that he caught him per se, because we got to remember, I was putting a lot of pressure on him to do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't doing it on a canvas. He was putting it out like a dead on a wall. You know. Right. So that's what that made it tough. And then years later, Derek Jeter would ask me about Thurman Munson. And he would sometimes get annoyed at the fact that they were always comparing him to Thurman. And I know that one time he got annoyed with me because somebody asked me, Ray, you've been around the two core captains, Thurman Munson, Derek Jeter. There were others in between, but they were the core. And so they said, Ray, can you compare the captains in any way? And I said to this one guy, I don't remember the writer, but I said to him, please don't do that. Please don't. Derek Jeter. Yeah. And I said, Derek Jeter he's a good guy. I'm sure he's a good captain. But Thurman Munson was a true man. He was a man's man. And he, in essence, led not by the sea on his shirt, because he never wanted that. And please do not call him captain, because you better not, or else you might get hurt. Right. But strictly by how he played the damn game. And that was enough for us in that era. That's all we needed.
You just needed that. Just Thurman.
Yeah.
Thurman's, whatever, all that Thurman encompassed,
Yes.
was enough. It's a sad part. I don't want to linger on it because, life goes on. But I have to ask you, where were you when you heard the news?
I was at a friend's house. Taking batting practice. And all of a sudden his mother comes running out. He was like a wealthy friend of mine. He was like the only guy that would have a batting cage in his backyard. You know what I'm saying? And so we would go to his house, and his mom came running out. Ray, please come inside. See the news. She had the news on, and right then and there, that's how I found out. And forget about it. I was devastated.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I still break down to this day.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was very touching that that game. When Mercer got the winning hit,
Incredible.
and when the way Reggie was crying. I mean, you could just, he was, crying to himself in his own arms. I mean, that was. I mean, I get all that, and that to me that was very powerful to show you the feelings. I guess you got the crowd, you got the pitcher Thurman up there, empty home, everything's there. And Reggie he really broke down, and it kind of touched me. I know Louis Tiant was, and all the players seemed to be. That day, that must have been some game that
you see the players on the team per se did not understand how close Reggie and Thurman had gotten.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones that really knew was me and Diane Munson.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because Thurman would go home and he would tell her the whole aspect of how everything was. Hey, Thurman would go on the road, and Reggie would. I would drive Thurman to Teterboro Airport, and then I would come back, and Reggie would say, "Put Thurman's car in my garage." Reggie lived on 79th and 5th Avenue in Manhattan, Midtown, across the street from Central Park and the Museum of Art.
Mm-hmm.
High rent, everything, okay? And Reggie would say, "Just put the car in my garage while we're on the road. Don't worry about it."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then he would just tell Thurman, "Don't worry, I got space in my garage. Don't worry, it's going to stay there. Don't worry about it." And he would never tell Reggie how much. I mean, Reggie would never tell Thurman how much he was paying each month for his car to be garaged.
Oh, okay.
You see, you see what I'm saying?
Those little things, like not little things, but those kind of things, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice thing. It was a cute thing. It was
right.
People say, there's a joke that goes on that says, Reggie will do a favor for you, but then he'll have a press conference and tell everybody that he did it. You know what I'm saying? That was a classic Catfish Hunter line. But I can guarantee you, he never told Thurman that he was paying for his parking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he told me, never, don't you ever tell him, because then he won't put it in, and he'll be worried about the car being left out in the parking lot and somebody breaking in and that kind of stuff.
So like a love action, like of love.
It really was. And then the other nice thing between the two of them was that Reggie was flying with Thurman, and so Reggie wrote a check to Thurman for the gas, and so Thurman took the check.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thurman comes to me and he says, "Look at what this asshole did." He gives me a check. He gives me a check for the gas on my plane. Mm-hmm. And then he says, "You know what, Ray? I'm gonna keep the check. But you know why, right?" I said, "Why?" "For the autograph."
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So Thurman had the sense of humor there, Yeah. One thing that I always admired was Guidry, Goose Gossage, every single pitcher. I'd never seen any other pitchers from like the Red Sox that praised Carlton Fisk, like the Yankees pitchers praised Munson. I mean, it's like everyone, or it's just like so much admiration whenever they talk about it. It's almost mind-boggling. I never hear pitchers talk about bench the way these, like you hear Guidry talk about Munson and Goose. It's just, to me, that tells you almost everything about how great the guy was. Right?
More. Absolutely.
His battery
how
mates,
great he was.
Yeah.
And it's just, the way he called the game. Okay? The way he called the game. Nobody was like Thurman when it came to calling a game.
Right.
All right? And like, if you shake him off on a pitch, you messed up. Okay?
Right. When I was a kid, I was born in '60, so I'm 15, 16, 17. I'm through the mid years. Whenever Munson didn't catch, it was almost like you felt a loss. Like it just didn't look right. The guy behind the plate, it just the whole team looked off. I mean, was that me, or did you get that feeling too? It's like the way Munson just looked so comfortable, the way he looked back there. You know, maybe
But
I'm talking like a fan. Maybe I'm just talking like a fan.
You're not talking like a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You're not talking like a fan.
Okay.
It's just that because why why isn't Thurman catching today? And let's not. But we have to remember this guy is human, and he needs a break every once in a while. I mean, think about how the pitchers felt when they had to throw to a Jerry Narron or a Mike Heath.
Right. The difference going from Munson to them.
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah. And I ran into Phil Rizzuto like in 87, 88. And I felt that the Yankees took about 8 to 10 years to get over Munson. Is that accurate? I mean, I asked Phil Rizzuto that. He kind of agreed with me. I don't think the Yankees even still got over him. And that was like in the mid 80s. You just felt like it was still missing. Did you get that feeling at all, Ray?
Listen, 40 years later, I still feel that way.
You still feel that way? Okay, it's still in the air. Okay.
It's still there only because I lived the era. I mean, these guys now they have no clue because they weren't there.
Right.
Right. And if they were there, they would feel it. But I mean, do the math. Who's there from that time other than me?
Yeah, I mean, I would say nobody, if not only maybe one or two, if that. Maybe the Steinbrenner kids.
The kids, and they were kids.
Right.
And they weren't around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I remember I used to babysit Hal. Okay. I babysat Hal, and he was 7, 8 years old.
Right. There you go. I mean, it shows you the the longevity factor. And now he's a billionaire, right? Now he inherited the Yankees and he runs the team, which is a great team this year. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk, but I'm going to go into my hit and miss soon, Ray, because I appreciate your time. Maybe we could have a part 2 on this down the road if you're up for it, because there's.
Yeah, you let me know.
But
so it's always fun to talk about the Yankees.
Yeah. But I got my final section, Ray. I call it hit and miss. I kind of take it after Michael Kayla. I do my word association, then we wrap it up. Is that okay? Do a little word association?
Problem.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
What is your favorite color?
Blue. Navy blue.
Okay. If you were on a deserted island and you had 2 musical CDs to bring with you, you're on this beautiful island for 5 years, beautiful weather, what music CDs would you bring?
Frankie Valli and Frank Sinatra.
Ah, there you go. Did you ever meet Frank Sinatra, being a Yankee?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I was introduced. I actually had dinner with him several times at a restaurant called Patsy's in the city that I still go to this day because I go there for the spirits of Mr. Sinatra, the spirits of Sammy Davis Jr., and the fact that Billy Martin thought enough of me that he would want me to go and sit down with Sinatra so that Sinatra could school me on life. How about that?
What was your biggest lesson from Sinatra? I got to ask you that.
Never be afraid of my color. I was going through a period where I had been bullied and mentally hurt by people that worked at the stadium. And Billy found out about that, and like one day I had said, "I wish I was white," and that upset Billy to the point where he had me get a lesson from Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay, great story on Sinatra. I mean, it's a lifelong thing, and it's great to hear this stuff. Your favorite? I'm segueing quick. Your favorite movie?
The Pride of the Yankees.
Do you still cry at the end of that when Gehrig discovers he's sick?
I tried to to watch it once a year so that I can get that emotion.
Oh, you want the emotion? Okay, I got you. Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because I learned a long time ago that even Yankees cry. Okay, and I learned that when Thurman died, and I won't stop that emotion.
Well, I'll tell you what, Teresa Wright. I mean, if Eleanor if that was a full true story, boy, that was quite a story of romance between those two. Depicted in that movie. I think it's the greatest movie, in sports.
Absolutely. And people today, they talk about Bull Durham. I mean, Field of Dreams is nice, but the process of Lou Gehrig and the pride of the Yankees and the fact that it was real, nothing tops that for me.
Right. Okay. Ocean. What comes to mind when you hear the word ocean?
Ocean?
Yes.
When I hear ocean. Nothing.
Okay. Hey, that's the first thing that came to your mind. All right, I'm going to hit you hard with this word. I want one word out of it. Munson.
My heart.
Okay. And what advice would you give yourself growing up, Ray, or someone like you that's, same thing you were going through, say, the year before you did the graffiti? Like, what advice would you give?
You are somebody. For the longest time, I felt like I was nobody. And the wonderful George Steinbrenner and Thurman and Billy and Reggie and Mercer made me feel like I was somebody. Put your head up, you belong. And I used to think that because I was of color that I wasn't worthy of being here or worthy of being there. One time, I'll give you a last analogy of that. I was with George Steinbrenner in his office, and probably he was having a little party with about 20 of his college buddies. And these guys went to Williams, they went to Yale, they went to Dartmouth, they went to Harvard. And for me, it was becoming embarrassing. And I was looking at the ground because I graduated from Springfield Gardens High School and I hadn't finished college. You understand?
Right.
And so I was looking at the ground and all of a sudden, Mr. Steinbrenner goes, put your head up. Put your head up. Look up. And I look up and he says, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. He says, but these assholes here, just because they got their little fancy degrees, and so do I, he says, but you have the biggest degree of all. You know why? And I'm looking at him like, no, why? And he says, because you went to the greatest school of all, the University of Steinbrenner at Yankee Stadium.
Ah, that must have made you feel 10 feet tall.
I felt like Einstein.
If you had two more, Ray, then we're done. I'll let you go. If you had to meet one person in the world tomorrow, who would it be? Live or dead, anybody tomorrow. You can meet this guy.
Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Elvis Presley.
Okay. Babe Ruth, the greatest thing that ever happened to baseball?
Absolutely, by far. On and off the field. We have a guy on the team right now named Gio Urshela, and we have another guy on the team by the name of Gleyber Torres. When I asked them to go and talk to kids at hospitals and schools, they have not said no yet. I always show them pictures of Babe Ruth at different schools, at different hospitals, talking to little kids, and especially talking to black kids. And I just showed them the magnitude of the man. He didn't care what they were, black, white, yellow, as long as he could help them and reach them. And that was the legacy of the great Babe Ruth.
Wow. Better than the home run legacy, right? That
for
legacy.
Me.
Yeah.
Personally, for me.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because you know, when a Yankee comes to you to say, hey, kid, you're somebody, that Yankee is Superman.
When Gehrig met that kid in that hospital in that movie Pride of the Yankees, that was
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And Gehrig did that. He went and visited kids and I mean, it's just that's a part of what being a Yankee is all about. And the great and wonderful George Steinbrenner got it. He understood it, and that's why to this day they do have Hope Week and all that kind of stuff. But if Steinbrenner was alive, he would say, every day is Hope Day.
Okay. Every day. Nice. What?
Last thing I'm going to say to you.
Go ahead. Wrap it up.
A little boy. I go visit a little boy when one of my books was the #1 best-selling book in the world at the time. Okay, in 1970, it was called The Boy of Steel, about a little boy with cancer.
Okay.
I was visiting schools all around the country, and I was visiting hospitals. I go to Hackensack Medical Center. A little boy says to me, Mr. Negron, if I do one good thing a day, do you think God's going to let me go to heaven? And that was very profound, because 6 months later, that little boy died.
Mm-hmm.
And after that little boy died and I shed my tears for him and his parents, I swore to God that every day I would try to do one good thing a day.
Mm.
And think about how good the world would be if everybody thought that way.
If everybody in the world did one good thing a day.
Yeah.
Right. That's 6 billion good things a day.
Right. Imagine?
Wow.
One thing a day, one thing today, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right. Wow. Hey, last thing, what's your favorite Elvis song?
Man, that's a tough one.
Was Elvis the greatest looking rocker ever? I mean, he had a pretty cool look.
Elvis Presley was the greatest looking human being that I think ever existed. And listen, I'm straight.
Oh yeah. No, I've heard that before from guys that actually seen him, and they go, "You mean he had just had like an aura? It's just, the look, it was just unbelievable."
You know, I met the wonderful James Brown, okay, and we were friends. We became friends because of baseball. He loved baseball. He was a pitcher. He tried to give Dwight Gooden advice on drugs and on pitching. That's how we met, believe it or not. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In one of our times together, he told me about the fact that him and Elvis Presley were as close to brothers as you can be, and the world didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
It was verified to me by Priscilla Presley, who I got to meet years later.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
James Brown, Elvis Presley called him up one night and said, I got a song that was given to me by Mac Davis. He wants me to sing it. Mac Davis wrote the song. He wants me to do it. I spoke to my guys about it. They told me that I shouldn't do it. So I figured, let me give it to you. It would be more according to what you do, James.
Mm-hmm.
And so James Brown heard the song, and then he said, Elvis, I think you should do that song. I think you should do it. I think you give him more impact.
Good impression. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so Elvis, James had asked him, why did your guys not want to do it? And he said, because it was too black oriented. And that's when James said, then you should really, hearing that, Elvis, now I'm telling you to do it. Mm. And Elvis Presley did the song In the Ghetto.
Oh, okay. Great song. Yeah. Touching song. Wow. What a story that is, right from the horse's mouth. Mm-hmm. Wow. Ray, I thank you so much for coming out. This was a great pleasure for me and my listeners. These stories are incredible. You're a great man. And, like I said, I'd love to have you out again, down the road, talk more maybe about the current Yankees after they win the World Series this year.
Let your people know that they can follow me on Instagram, Ray Negron Yanks.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. But Instagram is my main baby. I answer every, myself on there.
Okay. Any books? I know you have a few books. Any books you want to mention?
I have a book coming out next year entitled The Boss and the Bat Boy.
Okay.
It's a book that everybody thinks has been done already, but even though I've done 5 books, I didn't do that book, and I have to do that book. So that one should be out sometime next year. And then I got the play Bat Boy. That's all over the country. So,
that's right. I saw that. Yeah.
Beyond the Lookout. I actually used Gio Urshela in my last show. Him and Bernie Williams, and they were terrific. You never know what star is going to be in the play. You know what I'm saying? And and right now we're also talking about closing on a 8-part miniseries based on Yankee miracles with the gentleman that was Frazier, Kelsey Grammer, playing George Steinbrenner.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's pretty wild. Yeah. Right, you got a full plate. How do you do it all? But I got to let you go. I appreciate your time. This is an amazing thing. You've lived a great life, and just keep it going. Looking forward to seeing everything.
I hope so. Hey, listen, life is too short, so we gotta roll and do everything you can to enjoy it.
Absolutely. That was Ray Negron. I am Ray K. We'll catch you next time.